Good morning, everybody. It's COOLA from Rawstocks, and I have another edition of our pre-market prep this morning. Hope everyone was able to survive yesterday. A little bit of a volatility spike, but you know, it's part of the game. So, do a quick shout out to our sponsors, Black Box Stocks and Gamma Edge. Without those guys, we would not be able to provide this content to you guys free every single day. So make sure you utilize the links in our bios and go check out your free trials. So, what are we looking at today? So currently, yesterday, we saw a little bit of a sell down opened near the previous day's open, right? And ultimately sold down towards our daily 4 here. We're at that crucial level here, that critical key level at 6,200. That's at least what we visited down here in that 618.5 area or 618 area. It's really about 617.55. But that little push down there was a revisit. Now we closed above our daily 4. We utilized this as a kind of a signal for distribution, and we still remained the upside here. But does data correlate with that? So we're going to dive into that. Let me go ahead and do a quick little look as far as macros go this morning. This is a light week in regards to data. So realistically, the only thing that will move the market potentially is Wednesday. You have FOMC meeting minutes. Could be insight in regards to interest rate hikes or reducing interest rates. And then again on Thursday, we have unemployment claims. So those are your two little areas that could definitely move the market. And then you could see the federal budget balance come in on Friday in the PM session that could drive the market one way or another. So light week in regards to data. And let's pull up SPY. So full complex here, we still remain call dominated gamma conditions. We're right here sitting at our spot price at 621. This is in a positive gamma condition here. Targets remain at 630, 625, and 630. So we're starting to see some larger moves to the downside here. Okay. At least targets. But are these cash secured puts, or are they actually open contracts looking for downside? Well, based on what we're seeing, negative gamma here, a negative net gex, one would have to say that overall we're seeing it as a potential pull. These are growing, but you still see that we're much larger in regards to our net gex here at 630 than we are the 134,000 on 600 revisit. If we take in today's data, what we're seeing is a 625 supply and a 618 demand. So virtually what that's given us is a full range between the previous day's high and yesterday's low. And so looking at that, let's dive into our day trading chart. You're going to see yesterday was an interesting little dynamic. We opened with the gamma wall above us, and we were actually into some negative gamma right off the rip on SPY. It's a little bit different on SPX, and that was virtually right here about this 622.88. This was a breakdown area, 62.25, I believe. 62.25. This is a breakdown. We'll go over that too. But you can see that this thing sold heavily through this range and then spiked on some volatility. Let's take a look at SPX. This will kind of give you more insight. This is what we like to utilize this data for potential moves, but always look for confluence with SPY's data as well. So you can see a negative transitional area at 62.50. It broke down from here and revisited the bottom of the range. Now we're kind of sitting in this bottom of this range, and we're going to see kind of what we're expecting for today. Let's pull up SPX. Let's mark the chart out. So full complex remains call dominated. You can see a huge IC here between 626, 6260 and 6185. So it's a huge condor here that we're likely going to just remain within. Okay, so if you see it up here, you're looking to go short. If you see it down here, you're looking to go long. That's virtually what we're seeing. Oh, excuse me. This is it. This is a little bit more defined. I was on full complex, but it shows you how big this condor is, and when it starts to highlight over the full complex. So lots of money involved here. There's a decent size all the way down here, so it's a little bit skewed here. You can see the supply at 62.65 and demand at 62.60, but your range comes down here. This is your IC all the way down to that 61.85 area. So we'll chalk this up. So 62.60 on the high side. I think this is locked. Let me unlock this. 62.60 and 61.85 down here. Okay, so this is our IC range today. We're going to most likely respect this. Call dominated conditions, but what does that necessarily mean for us in today's price action? I would say we are leaning based on bias from our daily 4, bias from gamma conditions that we might visit or we favor to visit 62.60 if we break over the top of 62.35. So watch that area as a potential pivot area for us to kind of get a squeeze up to this range, and then watch for a potential sell down towards that 61.85 area, or watch for the 61.85 visit and then watch for some type of recovery. Those are generally what we see on these days, but this containment will likely win. So keep an eye on this. You can start to see later on in the week, we're starting to see, the term 6,200, or at least, the range 6,200 start to light up. Then we start to see put dominated start to take over a little bit later on in the week. We're going to see if this is going to hold or if this is just some hedging, but you can see this IC from a mile away. If you understand the call option, or the option market, you can see that this is a clear containment, and this is likely to win for the dealers. So we've got this range marked. If you were a seller, then be looking to sell on the outside of these ranges here, and preferably, you'd like to sell kind of right in the middle and just kind of let it burn. So let me mark up SPY real quick. SPY is call dominated, and that is 618 to 625. Is that right? 625. Yeah, so a little bit lower. So virtually the same range. Okay, virtually the same range. Let's just say it's close. So I would stick with the SPX range, kind of go off of that. That has us all the way down to this 616 range, but that would be breaking through our 6,200 level, which we bounced off very, very strongly yesterday. So, all right. So just to clarify, we have, let me put this on. Transitional area here at 62.35. So that puts us right here. Okay, so watch the break of this high, this breakdown here, and this high. This is a transitional area. It can act as resistance for us. Let's see where we're at pre-market. We're right on it. Okay, so this is going to be a decisive area. If we break over the top of it, watch for some type of move towards the upside, towards testing the top side of this range, right? Or we have the ability to break down from this, watch for some retest, and then look for a short for the bottom of the range. That's another option for us. But if we do get up to this range, I imagine we're going to either do one of two things. We're going to get up here and we're going to stall out. We're going to stall out and kind of chop here. We might even see a larger sell later on the day and then recover back up here. This is kind of what I'm favoring, okay? But we don't like buying in the middle of this range. It's not my favorite, especially on IC day. This is one of those days where you look for something else to play other than this range. You're looking to go short up here, you're looking to go long down here, but you don't want to take the middle of the range here. That's just asking for some burn to happen for you. So keep an eye on the 625 short. Look to go long into that 618 to 616 level, because SPX has us a little bit lower, right? Has us down in this range. So keep that in mind, that a break below the 617.55 area is likely to draw us down into the low of SPX's range before we see a quick recovery retest towards this 617.5 area on SPY. All right, let's move on to Tesla. I know everybody's interested in Tesla. We've seen a large drop on Tesla since Elon announced the American Party. People are looking to get out of Tesla, and they sold on it. And so today we're sitting at 297. I talked about this previously, where I thought that we're more likely to test this low down here than we are to retest into, say, the 360, 350 range. When you start looking at, pivot areas, I favor the low side more than I do a recovery up to the upside right now. Now, that doesn't mean we have a short-term retest up towards that 310, 320 area into these moving averages before that happens, but we need to take a look at some of the data here and kind of see what we're looking at. So let's take a look at Tesla's data. The full complex is still call dominated, but you can see some substantial puts drawing down towards that 280 into that 270 range. You can start to see that the net delta starts to flip in this range. So I think 280 will likely hit, but in doing so, we're still in some pretty negative delta, negative gamma here, and this is going to drive us into a slippery slope for Tesla. So you need to really watch that 280 mark for this to get a little bit slippery. If we look at this week's contracts, you're going to see that 280 is our mark on the demand, 320 on the supply. So if we mark this out for Tesla, this is going to be 280 to 320. 320's here. 380 is, or excuse me, 280 is down here. Okay, so our range stands here. And as of right now, again, kind of in the middle of the range. Anybody who is looking at this data is virtually saying anything over 292, we're looking to go long and retest into some of these areas that you start to see some calls being sold at 310, 305 area. Some of these calls are being sold in this range here. And we'll see if that's going to be a test. So watch us break over 300. People get excited, and then watch for the choke out near 305 where these calls are being sold here. You can see that we have a negative net delta here. This indicates to us that the people are selling into that 305 area. Watch for that to act as resistance. Kind of lines up with that that low there, that high there, that kind of all coincides with some type of key level starting to develop there, especially with data showing us that is the case. So confluence is there for resistance at 305, not necessarily 300. If we break over the top of 305, I think it's pretty clear that we're more likely to test that 320 area than anything. I favor, like I said, the difference between 360 and down towards this 280. I'm favoring the 280, 270 visit prior to any move up towards 360. But like I said, it wouldn't be out of the scope of reality that we see this thing go and test this 320 before making another move down towards that 270 and 280 range again. So keep that in mind. And I really like this area for potential buy. There's going to be a trigger here today that creates a potential bullish harmonic, right? So a good, strong, like let's say recovery towards the top side of our range will give us that bullish harmonic, which generally signifies some type of reversal. So could I be wrong and this drive us up towards this high? Absolutely, based on this. But data shows that if we don't get over that 305 area, that this still remains the same. And I think as you integrate the full complex of data here, you start to see these larger draws here. I really do think that 280, 275 and into 270 is likely to be tested. So we're going to see how that kind of transitions, but we had a nice recovery. You're sitting at 297, which spot right here is kind of a transitional area, very choppy near this range on full complex. But breaking it down, like I said, your pivot point right here is 290. 292 turns into a transitional area. So as of right now, we're in call dominated. So it's not for me to say that we're not for any type of bullish move, just holding yesterday's low. So there's that case to be made, and it does, have some type of relative support in regards to some type of nicer trade towards the upside of this range. Start to see 2.5 RVR. I mean, it's not my favorite by any means because we're in the middle of this range, but it does have that. Well, you can even shrink this up. 290 is really what you're looking at, but we'll give it to 288.77, yesterday's low, and see if that thing wants to hold. You start to see 2 3/4 RVR there. So is it a good trade? I mean, it finds it meets the parameters, but we always prefer the bottom of the range, right? So not really interested in taking this, but I do think it's something that you need to monitor. Okay. All right, let's take a look at NVIDIA real quick. NVIDIA has a strong following with it. Obviously AI here. We talked about how we didn't really see much data that would indicate that we would press over 160, and we got into this 160 area. The moment we hit this, it's sold on it, and now we've had some consolidation and we're retesting. But now the data has changed slightly. 165 is starting to expand. 170 is starting to expand. So is this a potential little minor pullback for distribution to the upside? Well, that's to be found out. But you can see this is a clear path here towards that 165 and 170 is definitely on deck now, holding 160. Okay, so 160 is definitely our call wall, but you break over the top of this 160, you might see NVIDIA start going screaming, and we might see SPX pushing for 6,300 plus. So don't let the headlines fool you. We are still in call dominated position or gamma conditions. We're still above our daily 4. Yesterday was a little spike of volatility with Trump dropping all the tariff news. But is this going to sustain? And I think that everybody needs to know that this is high levels of volatility area, okay? Paying a premium. So anytime you see volatility cheap, it's okay to go long on VIX, on volatility, and pick that up and see if you can get some type of nice little scalp. You're going to win those more times than not when we start to see that we're extended and VIX is low. So, guys, hopefully this was insightful for you. If you want to find out more about what we do, kind of trade with our analysts and such, make sure you visit us at rawstocksllc.com. That is rawstocksllc.com. Make sure you turn on your notifications so you can get this. We upload this to X, YouTube, and TikTok. And if you're interested, like I said, use code promo or $1 for your promo, and we'll get you hooked up for $1 on your first month. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Until next time, we'll catch you later.